What is up with it, everybody? Live from the studios of WIUR here at the Murphy Center at Iona University. Welcome back to Woolley Mammoth Tuesdays. I'm your host, Cam Woolley, keeping you company here for, I'm going to estimate about the next half hour, but you know, with how I talk, it could be here for 45 minutes. So, anyways, just got a couple things here. Going to be talking Super Bowl and then Olympic hockey. That starting up soon. The women already starting there. The U.S. women's team rolling. They're playing Canada. That puck drop coming at any minute. But for now, we got to talk about the Super Bowl. Everybody in sports is talking about this. 2 days ago, the Seattle Seahawks got revenge on the New England Patriots for their Super Bowl defeat in Super Bowl 49, dominating them in Super Bowl 60 to win their second Lombardi Trophy. And just want to get this out of the way, dude. This is now 2 years in a row where the game, from a spectator standpoint, has been kind of a dud. I mean, and I'll get into why, but to be honest, like, we had a few years where the Super Bowl was kind of, ooh, things are happening, last second, last minute stuff, intense, back and forth, fourth quarter. We haven't had that the last couple of years. We had a couple of good teams go up against other teams that were outmatched and kind of danced through the raindrops throughout the course of the year, and the regression to the mean came and hit them really hard. So Seattle, I mean, they won this game based on two things. It was defense and special teams, dude. I knew that this game was over by the end of the first quarter because of Seattle's pass rush. Every Super Bowl I can remember was won by the team with the better pass rush. This goes back to the Giants Super Bowls in the 2000s against, well, the New England Patriots, where it doesn't matter how good the opposing quarterback is, and doesn't matter how good the opposing coach or game plan is. If you have a front line, that's the key. 4 guys, and I know Seattle mixed in a bunch of blitzes there. I know Devin Witherspoon had a phenomenal game. In my opinion, a candidate for Super Bowl MVP, but, you know, when your running back runs for 130 yards, you can't really do that. But mostly that front line of Seattle's dominated that game. It felt like every single time Drake May dropped back to pass, he was under some kind of pressure. He was wildly uncomfortable from the jump, and that was all Seattle's pass rush right there. And I knew from the first quarter, I'm like, oh my God, he has no time. He has nowhere to go. And Seattle's secondary is good enough to hold up. So yeah, I knew it was going to be a very long night for Drake May. And kudos to Mike McDonald and Clint Kubiak for making the adjustments early to the offensive game plan, because they knew they had the utmost confidence and belief in their defense to win that game and play in the fashion that they played, that they went up to Sam Darnold and said, hey, dude, we know you're capable of making the big plays. You've done it for us all year. You've especially done it for us in the playoffs. But right now, all we need you to do is manage this game well enough. Your offensive line is blocking well enough for your running back. Just make sure you move the ball enough to where we can dominate field position. Because even if they get a couple first downs, they're not doing anything with the football. So Sam, he just had to do whatever. He took the safe options. He made a couple of good throws. That touchdown pass to A.J. Barner that effectively ended the game, that was a really good ball. He had a couple of good balls to Cooper Kupp. He did overthrow JSN for like a 90-yard score, but that was kind of a broken down play. He had a guy in his face. Again, pressure on the quarterback. And I know Darnold was really good against pressure in the playoffs. That was a big talking point about the NFC title game. But bottom line is Mike McDonald and Clint Kubiak, and this is good coaching right here. Just amazing coaching. They looked at what was happening. They looked at the situation in the game and they deviated from the script. I assume they deviated from the script that they set out already because this is a quarterback league. And especially in the Super Bowl, you're going to think about your quarterback. And early on, they're like, okay, our defense has us. We're just going to we're going to simplify it for Sam Darnold. It's not that we don't think he can do it. It's that we're not going to make him do anything crazy. We're not going to push the ball downfield for the sake of the entertainment value. Because to be honest, that was the only reason that Seattle would push the ball downfield and make Sam Darnold throw it more than 8 yards in this game. Again, that's not to say he didn't make any big throws. I mean, there were a couple of big ones that were thwarted by Christian Gonzalez. I mean, good Lord, Gonzo, he had a phenomenal game. I feel for him. Just a great corner. He's going to be an all-pro for throughout his career. Christian Gonzalez was great. He's one of very few New England Patriots who did a great job that night. But dude, just and all the credit to them and taking the points. So often, especially in playoff games in recent years, you want to talk about why the Bills keep losing the playoffs. It's because they get cute and don't take points. You want to talk about the Lions, why they lose. They get cute and don't take the points. You see almost every single team. And you have this blueprint now with coaches that I think is like this year really is going to change how NFL teams think. Because ever since Sean McVay got hired by the Rams and took them to the playoffs and then the Super Bowl in his second year, everyone was like, oh my God, we need some kid who knows offense and will go for it on fourth down. Then you begin to realize that kind of sinks you in these games. In these marginal moments, you can't be getting cute, going for it on fourth down in the red zone. And to Mike McDonald's credit, he sat there and said, hey, I trust my defense. They're not going anywhere with the football. I'm going to take the points. And Jason Myers, he had what, like 18 points? I think he kicked 5 field goals. 5 field goals and 2 extra points. That's 17 points from Jason Myers in this game. When was the last time you've heard of a kicker in the NFL, especially in a playoff game, hitting 5 field goals? I can't tell you. I can't tell you. A gun to my head, I would not be able to tell you the last time that happened. And, dude, just so great. I mean, I talked about their kicker. Dude, their punter was amazing, too. I mean, their special teams. Dude, that was I regret not texting my dad enough about it. Like I mentioned, because he was a kicker. He loves he always stresses to me special teams. I sound like John Harbaugh here talking about his dad, but he's always like, oh, it's special teams, special teams, special teams. And especially with the punter, you don't realize how awesome it is to have a good punter until you see one in action, especially in a game like the Super Bowl. Michael Dixon did an amazing job in this game, pinning the Patriots. And again, dude, the game plan from the first quarter was simple. Field position, field position, field position. And a big part of maintaining the advantage in field position is the punter. And he did every single bit of what was asked of him. And if I wish Kenneth Walker didn't have the game he had, because the conversation for MVP would have been very interesting if he ran, say, for like 80 yards instead of 130. Because Jason Myers and Michael Dixon had good enough games to where you could have made the argument for one or the other being Super Bowl MVP. Although, if we're being realistic, if it wasn't Kenneth Walker, it probably would have been Devin Witherspoon because he had a great game too. But let me dream. let me have this fun little conversation about a punter winning Super Bowl MVP. You want to talk about a way to make the game entertaining? Give it to the punter. Because it's really plays like that that matter in games like this to maintain the advantage. Imagine if and Marcus Jones is a very dangerous returner. Imagine if he kind of flubbed it on one of the punts and say Marcus Jones, he broke one. Say he had a punt return get inside the Seattle 40. All of a sudden, no more field position. Very likely that points are being scored there. And who knows what happens from there. But no, when you have a good punter, stuff like that doesn't happen. When you have a good punt coverage unit, that stuff does not happen. And dude, I just I know it was a boring game. Like, I get it. There was no theatrics, there was no real tension, but there was just something so aesthetically pleasing that tickled my football brain the right way that I was just so fascinated by that defense. I was so fascinated by that special teams. Dude, that and dude, they really didn't emerge as an elite team until Christmas. The Seahawks were kind of an afterthought to me before that Thursday night game where I was in there. I'm like, whoa, they're about to lead the NFC West. When the hell did that happen? But dude, and then they beat the Rams on Thursday night. They beat the Niners in week 18 to clinch the #1 seed, and they blew them out in the divisional round and then beat the Rams in the championship game. Dude, what a team. What a freaking team, dude. My God. And I mean, Kenneth Walker, he's due to become a free agent. I don't know if you let him walk out, but in this day, although, hey, people are more open to paying running backs these days. It's the truth. I mean, after what happened to the Giants with Saquon, nobody wants that kind of situation again. Nobody wants anything close to that. And then, I mean, I don't know if I have much else for the Seahawks. I mean, Sam Darnold, obviously, congratulations, Sam Darnold, former Jet draft bust. Just, yeah, more egg in the face of Jet fans. And, congratulations to him. He did a great job all year. I mean, the Vikings, geez, they've got to be sick. I mean, I could have told you, I called my shot on J.J. McCarthy being bad. And they let Sam Darnold walk the year after he did really well. And then, well, a year later, even less than a year later, Sam Darnold hoisting a Lombardi trophy. J.J. McCarthy he's the face of ineptitude for quarterbacks. The 9 meme has swept over the NFL world, and Sam Darnold is a Super Bowl champion. And, I want to move on to the Patriots here because they proved all of the doubters and haters and everyone in between right. And I was more friendly to them, but apparently I gave them far too much credit. I tried saying, hey, these guys are legit. They're in the Super Bowl for a reason. They've won all these games. We've been through the same song and dance with Brady and Belichick. Again, I went through the list every single year. I talked about the Tuck rule, John Casey, 28-3, throwing the ball at the 1-yard line. I went through all of it. But I mean, this was a year where I am eating so much on the Patriots because they looked like they did not even belong there. You know what it felt like? It felt like watching a Giants game from a neutral standpoint, where from the get-go, you could tell they were just completely outmatched. I mean, my God, dude. Jeez. I mean, I talked about the pressure again from the first quarter. I'm like, oh man, they don't have a chance. But the fourth quarter, when they add those couple plays to Matt Collins, I was thinking, whoop, maybe. might have a little something, but nope. And no, he sailed a ball that got picked off by Julian Love. I mean, and I'm not I'm not gonna be one of those Giant fans who like is obsessed. I know a lot of Giant fans, and rightfully so. They're obsessed with the people that we've let walk who find success elsewhere. But at the time, was anybody really losing sleep over letting Julian Love walk? No. No, I mean, good safety, really good job, Super Bowl champion on the best defense in football this year. Good for him. But anyways, back to the Patriots. And back to Drake May. I mean, to be honest, he was kind of too young to win in that situation. I mean, everybody's talking about like second place finish for MVP by one vote. And all of this talk about him, it makes you forget that he's only 23. And I used to think that 23, he's an athlete. But now that I'm getting there, I realize, wow, 23 is young to be in that kind of situation, dude. Oh my God, man. Because I'm going to be 23, still living at home, my mom's house, while Drake May is starting a Super Bowl. There's a lot of mental aptitude that you got to have, that you got to learn quick to win a Super Bowl as the starting quarterback at that age. Like, sure, if you're a receiver, if you're a defensive lineman, it's different. But if you're a quarterback, dude, there's a reason that not a lot of young quarterbacks win Super Bowls. I mean, the last one, man, I really got to think of the last one who didn't take his lumps to get there. I mean, last year it was Jalen Hurts, and then you had Mahomes. Stafford, you want to talk about taking lumps. Then Brady. Okay, Mahomes, I guess, was the last one. And Mahomes is he's the outlier of outliers in the league right now. I know what we're forgetting, because with the disgusting amount of recency bias in sports these days, but everybody forgets, dude, Patrick Mahomes he's one of one. I mean, 3-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time Super Bowl MVP, just amazing. Hall of Famer. Already, he could retire today and he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Although with Canton these days, who knows? But like Mahomes really was the only one to do it that young. And I gotta think back a little further. The last like real young quarterback to do it before Mahomes, honestly, it was Brady. In 01, Brady was the last one to really do it. So the two outliers I'm pointing out here, who are young quarterbacks who won their Super Bowls very early, were Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Nobody else. I literally cannot name anybody else. I mean, I guess I really have to think here. Okay, Big Ben. Big Ben Roethlisberger won in his second year. But again, how much of that? But dude, Ben Roethlisberger was it? 2005 Ben Roethlisberger? Come on. Sure, he won games, but those Steeler teams were so good. Okay, you had Brady, Roethlisberger, and Mahomes. I got to think as well. I mean, Eli Manning won in his fourth year, but he had already been to the playoffs twice and got knocked out one and done. I mean, we forget, but the Giants were kind of a nightmare, but relative to their standards then. I mean, geez, I'd kill for one and done in the playoffs 2 years in a row now, but back then, it was bad for the Giants. I mean, Tom Coughlin was almost fired. Eli Manning was about to be pushed out the door, and then, they won the Super Bowl. But, but point is, you don't see really young quarterbacks win titles. I mean, again, I gotta think back here, but Jalen Hurts took his lumps. Matthew Stafford took his lumps. Mahomes is an outlier. I mean, Brady had done it a million times. Nick Foles, Nick Foles has already been in the league for a super long time, and that was also another crazy run. And he had already started a playoff game and lost. So Drake May in his first ever playoff appearance, yeah, no, that was not good. And he didn't even have a good postseason to begin with. He was terrible. I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but I remember it being really bad. And if you want to, I mean, we can't talk about really bad in this game from the Patriots without talking about Will Campbell. Woof. Yeah, dude. Yikes. Mr. T-Rex arms there had the worst game from an offensive lineman ever, considering the circumstances. Yeah, I don't know if any amount of all-pro nods can fix his legacy. And it sucks because he's a rookie and he had done a good job all year. But, oh, God, that is a tough one to shake. I mean, he let up 14 pressures. He statistically, according to Next Gen Stats, last I checked, PFF didn't have theirs out yet, but according to Next Gen Stats, he gave up 14 pressures in that game, the most out of any offensive lineman this year. Counting regular season and postseason, nobody was that bad. Nobody. And dude, I talked about Drake May being under duress every single play. My God. Dude, that was Will Campbell. Every single play. Like, I was watching the game with a few buddies. It was kind of mostly a casual gathering. But I mean, I was watching the game every single play. We were like, oh my God. Dude, he is getting bulldozed every single play. That's how that was us watching at the time. And dude, we knew, we're like, oh man. And I think, dude, to be honest, I mean, his legacy, I don't think you can repair that. And that you can make 5 first team all pros. Hell, you could win a couple of titles, which I know that's another conversation. I'm going to get into it now because I have another point that I want to get to. But I don't think you're fixing that. Yeah, anyways, enough about the Patriots. I just want to talk about a general observation that I had just about roster construction and the NFL landscape in general. It's just a general football observer, something I've picked up on that I'm sure a lot of other people have picked up on as well. Dude, the NFC and AFC have such different roster construction across like their big contenders. And it boils down to this. In the AFC, it's superstar quarterbacks with middling rosters. You look at the four-headed monster. You have Patrick Mahomes, great quarterback, meh roster. Lamar Jackson, great quarterback. I mean, no, he's got a pretty decent roster. Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, great quarterback, meh roster. Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow, awful roster outside of the receivers. And then you have the NFC. You have superstar rosters. I mean, just judging by the last 2 Super Bowl winners and judging by who is in the conference championship games and all that, you have superstar rosters with good enough quarterbacks. I mean, if you think about it, the only real big time quarterback that's been in the conference championship game who had like a prior reputation, like this year, it was Matthew Stafford. Like that was it. Like, he's the only guy who had a reputation of being a great quarterback and then making it to the biggest stage in his conference. And he still lost. And then you had last year, Jaden Daniels was just a rookie. The jury's out on him now with his injuries. We're in a wait and see place with him. But, other than that, look at the teams they lost to. You have the Seattle Seahawks, who I just went in depth on how great they are. And they had Sam Darnold, who's, a good enough quarterback. He did his job. He's really good. I mean, Super Bowl champion. He's really good. He's ascended himself to a point. Nobody's really going to say he's one of the best. Nobody's saying he's Mahomes. Nobody's saying he's Joe Burrow. None of that. But he's very much capable. Now, last year with Jalen Hurts, it's a different story because Eagles fans are idiots. So Jalen Hurts, yeah, great roster, great running game, great receivers, a titanium alloy offensive line. And that defense, oh God, that defense. But you had a good enough quarterback to facilitate it. And I will give Jalen Hurts credit for that. Now, do I think him winning Super Bowl MVP did irreparable damage to quarterback discourse? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Jalen Hurts is a scourge on NFL discourse. But, as a quarterback, I appreciate him for what he is. Like, sure, as a Giants fan, I hate him and wish him nothing but the worst from a football perspective. I'm sure he's a perfectly cool person. I'm sure if I ran into Jalen Hurts out at like a bar or something, I'd be like, oh, you're Jalen Hurts. And, I'm a Giant fan, but, yeah, the tush push. But, but again, like, I appreciate Jalen Hurts for what he is. I mean, he can't really throw the ball. I mean, I know every single offensive coordinator was avoiding that job like the plague because Jalen Hurts can't really throw the football. But again, in that year, he was good enough to win a Super Bowl with that roster. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, talking about other teams in the NFC, I mean, the San Francisco 49ers, they have Brock Purdy, who's good. I like Brock, but I'm more of I'd say I'm on the 65th percentile in terms of Brock Purdy believers. Like, I think he's a pretty good quarterback. I like him. When he's on the field, the 49ers are a significantly better team. The advanced stats love him too. But the thing is, he has the great roster is really what helps him facilitate things. I mean, sure, his receivers haven't been that great, but who needs a good receiver? Who needs a good wide receiver when you have Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle? I mean, well, George Kittle, oh man, I just remembered that's a tragedy. But when you have those two guys when healthy, and that's that's a big question mark with the 49ers. But you have a pretty good team there with the quarterback there to facilitate it. The Detroit Lions, up until this year, had a great roster with a good enough quarterback in Jared Goff. And I mean, I'm trying to think here. I mean, the Packers, you have Jordan Love with a really good defense. I mean, Jordan Love, if he was in the AFC, nobody would really pay too much attention to him. Jordan Love, I mean, he's good. I got to think about the teams in the NFC who are built on their quarterback. I mean, the Bears are the first team that comes to mind, bar none. The Bears are definitely a quarterback team. They have Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is the reason that they got to the point where they were. They did not have the great roster. Caleb Williams just pulled everything out for them. And honestly, the other team that I'm looking at that has a quarterback who's really the focal point of the team. I mean, I know it's a little early to tell because we're just getting into the new coach, but honestly, the New York Football Giants with Jackson Dart like being the focal point of his team. Like if the Giants win, where it's like if the Giants win football games, it is because of Jackson Dart. And two of the games that they won. I mean, the game against the Eagles, that was definitely Jackson Dart. Like, that was a purely Jackson Dart game. Like, he wins that game. And then, yeah, the game against the Raiders, that was a pretty big Jackson Dart game. Game against the Cowboys, that was a Jackson Dart game, too. So again, when the Giants win games, it's because of Jackson Dart. But to be honest, I mean, looking at these two schools of thought here, the NFC school of thought, it's winning out. I mean, judging by the last two Super Bowls, not even contests. No, because they just have such a better overall football team. Sure, if you have a great quarterback, it can get you out of the AFC. Like if your middling roster just needs to make less mistakes and shoot themselves in the foot less than the other team. No, Bills who are have a PhD in shooting themselves in the foot in the playoffs. And it is what it is. And then they get exposed in the Super Bowl by actual complete football teams instead of just needing to beat the other quarterback. Anyways, I've gone on long enough about football. When we get back, Olympic hockey, folks. We'll come back very soon with an update on the USA women's hockey game against Canada, getting my blind reaction to the score, and then doing a little preview of the men's tournament when we get back after break.
Untouchable, unstoppable.
This is WIUR Sports Radio.
Hi, I'm Robbie Basil, president of WIUR Radio, and I hope you're enjoying today's show. Have you ever wanted to call the biggest games, the biggest moments for the biggest names for Iona Athletics? Then the newly founded WIUR Sports Radio is the place to be. Launched in January of 2025, our goal is to try and get broadcasters here at Iona an opportunity to learn, succeed, and get a chance to be on air. From getting to call the big moments at the hack.
Dinkins trying to go to the rack. Denied. Yafet Mundi.
To seeing the crack of the bat at City Park.
The line drive into left field, around third, and it kicks away. The Gales are going to win it in 10.
We make those moments happen on our brand new WIUR Sports Radio platform on Mixer. If you're interested, feel free to reach out to me via email or to the rest of my e-board to join the club. We are WIUR Sports Radio, the new home of Iona Athletics. Now, back to the show on WIUR, Iona University Radio.
All right, we are back, and breaking news here out of Milan Cortina, the United States women's hockey team is leading the Canadians 1-0 in the latter half of the first period. Caroline Harvey, the goal scorer for the Stars and Stripes, and I tell you, man, I mean, I'm gonna try and keep you guys posted on this, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about here with the hockey here. And the men's side, they're kicking off against Latvia on Thursday at 3:10, and I gotta tell you, that's a game that we should win. Their top line center is Zemgus Girgensons. I just found out. I was doing a little research for this, but oh man, dude, that is a game that you better win. You cannot lose to Latvia. Oh my God. But I mean, men's hockey in general starts tomorrow with Finland and Slovakia at 10:40. Any bit of relevance you're looking for there. Devils defenseman Simon Nemec is on the top pairing for the Slovaks. And, I mean, who else is playing tomorrow? Just going to whip this up real quick. Please hold. And as I am looking it up, the United States has gone up 2-0 on Canada late in the first period. The women, I mean, my God, they're just doing great. I mean, we blew out Finland. Like what, 5-0, 5-1? Dude, this is great. This is fantastic. I love being patriotic this time of year, even though not too much to be patriotic about in this country. Anyway, that's beside the point. And the other game is going to be Italy going up against Sweden. Youch. That, I mean, I don't know what the spread is on that one, but woo, good Lord. That is not going to be pretty. Yeah, if Jacob Markstrom's starting for Sweden, yeah, maybe the Italians have a chance there. But anyways, the real action kicking off in men's hockey on Thursday, February 12th at 6 in the morning. It's France and Switzerland. And I'm going to talk about the Swiss here in a minute. I've got a point to make about them. And then you have Canada and Czechia. I didn't know that they were called. I still, in my mind, whenever I see that flag, I think of the Czech Republic. But I know I'm sure there was some political thing that happened there that they probably feel very passionate about. So it's Canada and Czechia at 10:40. Dude, that Canadian team, my God. Oh, dude, that team is murder. I just want to look. I got their lines here according to a couple days ago, like almost exactly 48 hours ago. The forward lines, their centers 1 through 4, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby, Bo Horvat. Dude, Bo Horvat's their 4th line center. Sidney Crosby's their 3rd line center. Nathan McKinnon's their 2nd line center. And of course, you have McDavid. Oh, yeah. And flanking McDavid, Macklin Celebrini, and Tom Wilson. What is Tom Wilson doing there? Why? Why is Tom Wilson on that team? And then flanking Nathan McKinnon, you got Nick Suzuki and Brad Marchand. Then you have flanking Sidney Crosby. Oh, yeah, Mark Stone. And yeah, Mitch Marner on the 3rd line. And here's the 4th line. The supposed worst forward line on the team. Yeah, it's Bo Horvat flanked by Brandon Hagel and Sam Reinhart. Oh, God. Oh, man. And their goalie's Logan Thompson, who's probably the favorite for the Vezina. And then at the same time as our game, we have Denmark going up against the Germans. You know, I mean, I think if we're looking at the biggest blowout here, I mean, it should be us. We better blow out Latvia. If we don't beat Latvia, oh my God, you're gonna see a side of me that nobody, I mean, outside of my bosses at Sports Grid, nobody wants to see. Nobody's gonna want to be within. Like I'm like Godzilla when he gets when they blew up a nuke in his face. It's like at the end of King of the Monsters when he was in Fenway Park when he kind of melted down Fenway by turning into a giant walking nuke. That is the emotional state that I would be in if we lose to Latvia. To be honest, I can't even point out that country on the map. I think they're a part of the Eastern Bloc. I know Kristaps Porzingis came from there. I know they beat Canada at the World Juniors in hockey a couple of years ago. Outside of that, I cannot tell you a single thing about Latvia. And their hockey team, they look incredibly beatable. And we should beat them. Honestly, we should sweep group stages. We're going up against Latvia, and I'm gonna scroll through the schedule here. We don't have a back-to-back. Valentine's Day. Yeah, I'm single. I got to watch this game. We're playing Denmark on 3/10 on Saturday on Valentine's Day. And then the next day, we do have a back-to-back. We're going up against Germany. Latvia and Denmark should be fodder. Germany is the only team that I think really poses a threat because, I mean, they just have talent up front. You have Leon Draisaitl, Tim Stützle, and JJ Peterka. Those are really good forwards who should not be slept on. And, of course, you have Mort Seider on the back end, but their goalie, I mean, it's Philip Grubauer. They should light him up. But again, crazier things happen in hockey. I mean, hockey's just such a weird sport. So, hey, who knows? But the only team I can see beating us, honestly, is Germany. Which, I mean, saying that about German hockey 10 years ago, I mean, just considering how far they've come, it's very impressive. I admire it. But USA Hockey, I mean, my God, they're doing everything in their power to not win gold. I mean, keeping Jason Robertson off the roster alone, and that's not even getting into leaving guys off like Cole Caulfield and Adam Fox. It is preposterous to leave any of those guys off the roster for their replacements. But you have Jason Robertson not even on the roster, the leading American scorer this year. And then you have Clayton Keller or Jack Hughes are going to be scratched while JT Miller gets a guaranteed lineup spot. Although, granted, having Quinn Hughes here is a gigantic boost after being out of the Four Nations. I mean, I'm looking at the lines here. This is from Elliot Friedman, I think yesterday. The forward lines for the U.S. going from left to right. Top line, Kachuk, Eichel, Kachuk. Don't know if it's Matthew or Brady. It doesn't matter. Then you have Gensel, Matthews, Boldy, Connor, Larkin, Thompson. Tage Thompson, that's pretty big. And then JT Miller, Brock Nelson, Jack Hughes. And then you have Vincent Trocheck rotating in with Brock Nelson. And then you have Clayton Keller's the healthy scratch. Dude, why? Oh, God. Dude, this is the problem, man. This is the problem, dude. USA Hockey. Dude, this is what happens when you give Chris Drury and Mike Sullivan, and I think David Quinn's in there somewhere too. When you give them authority, when you give enough influence to one team to pick out players, because that's how you end up with JT Miller and Vincent Trocheck on the same line going up against like Connor McDavid and Macklin Celebrini. Like that's so bad. I mean, dude, and then you have Jack Hughes at wing. Dude, this never works. It never works. And I'm putting a pause on the Jack Hughes criticism. I'm a Devils fan. I have plenty of things to say about Jack Hughes. And I'm saying this strictly as a supporter of USA Hockey throughout this tournament as an American. I am not a Devils fan for the next 2 weeks. I'm an American. Jack Hughes at wing has never worked. It's never worked. The Devils have tried doing it to no avail. Last year at the Four Nations, they tried doing it to no avail. And now they're trying this again, putting Jack Hughes on the right wing. And I understand his hand might still be a little weird. And he went through that lower body injury, but I think he was day to day with that. I think he's going to come back from that. He's going to be in the best shape, like physically, that he's been in a while. But I think if they had a brain, dude, Jack Hughes would be centering a line with, like, if you had Jack Hughes as the fourth line center, I'd take that over Bo Horvat and the Canadians. I'd take that over them immediately. If you put Jack Hughes on a line with Clayton Keller and Cole Caulfield, I'd take that line because Jack Hughes is a ridiculously talented forward. But if you keep putting him at wing, dude, he's not a finisher. He had 1 year where he scored 40 goals where everybody on the Devils ate. Everybody ate on that team. But, dude, I mean, they're putting the players in bad positions. Although, I mean, I do think we have a chance. I mean, I think we have the best back end in the Olympics. I mean, I'm just looking top to bottom, and especially considering how they played at Four Nations. I mean, again, dude, Quinn Hughes on the top pairing with Charlie McAvoy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like that. I very much like that a lot, dude. Oh, my God. That's ridiculous. You have Jacob Slavin and Brock Faber. That was really good. They worked well at Four Nations. I'm just judging based on what the team looked like. And Jacob Slavin and Brock Faber, they worked as a pairing. I mean, Jacob Slavin, I mean, my God. You want that? His performance in the final against Canada was one of the best single games by a defenseman I've ever seen. I almost passed out watching that game. I was out at beach on an empty stomach. I couldn't legally drink then either. But dude, that was. But Jacob Slavin and Brock Faber, that's a really good pairing. And then you have Jake Sanderson, Zach. Yeah, Zach Werenski is on our third pairing. And comparing that to the Canadians' defense, I mean, it's still really good. You have Devon Taves and Cale Makar. That's going to be very interesting to see against Hughes and McAvoy. Or I don't know how the matchups are going to be deployed because John Tortorella is on the U.S. staff. I like what John Tortorella does defensively. He typically knows how to neutralize threats enough. And I think I'm interested to see how they play against this pairing. But again, Devon Taves and Cale Makar, best pairing in the NHL. Would not be shocked if they're the best pairing in the Olympics. Then you have Josh Morrissey and Colton Parayko. Yeah, that's really good. And then you have Drew Doughty. This is my real concern here. The third pairing of Canada, I think there's a weakness. And, in these, I'm just talking about in a matchup against the U.S. I'm not trying to say I'm thinking too far ahead, but I'm just thinking about strictly in terms of winning a gold medal, because if we don't make it to the gold medal game, that's another disappointment in and of itself. But if you are winning a gold medal, you are going to have to go through Canada. And when I'm trying to look for a weakness in this team that you can poke a hole in, I think that Doughty-Harley pairing is definitely a weakness. I think you can exploit that because Drew Doughty's super old and Thomas Harley's having a down year. Now, I know that in these international environments that things change. I understand that. But just looking at it on paper and given how they have performed this year, the Drew Doughty, Thomas Harley pairing, if I am Mike Sullivan, I am throwing everything in the kitchen sink at that pairing whenever they're out there. If you have the second line change, if you see Doughty and Harley run out there, you throw out your top line, your top scorers. You go out there with, what line do you throw out there? You send out the Matthews line or the Larkin line with Tage Thompson. You put out everything you can. If you have the opportunity, if you notice it, and if you have the opportunity to make the change, you absolutely throw everything you can at that third pairing. And obviously, also that means putting Quinn Hughes out there. Because Quinn Hughes, he's a beast himself. If it weren't for, he is, when he's not playing Canada and when Cale Makar is not on the ice, when they do play Canada, or if they do play Canada, I don't want to think too far ahead, but if they do play Canada and Cale Makar is not on the ice, when Quinn Hughes is out there, he's the best defenseman. That's going to be the case in group stages. Going up against Latvia, he's going to be the best defenseman. Germany, he's going to be the best defenseman. Denmark, he's going to be the best defenseman. In knockout stages, when he goes up, say he goes up against Finland or Sweden or Switzerland, he's going to be the best defenseman. Now, I want to make one last point here before we wrap up, because we are getting up to 3 o'clock. But if I had to pick a real sleeper in these Olympics, I'm going to go with Switzerland. They've placed high in the IHF World Championships, I wouldn't be shocked if they medal. They've quietly produced more than a few quality NHLers. Just going down the list, it's funny, dude. You got 3 New Jersey Devils on here: Nico Hischier, Kevin Fiala, Roman Josi, Nino Niederreiter, Timo Meyer, JJ Moser, and Jonas Siegenthaler. Granted, Siegenthaler circa 2022, I'd be psyched. But again, this is 2026. But, it's, again, international environments, things change. And what really gets me is that this group specifically has played really well together. which is something not a lot of people acknowledge in international play. Everybody thinks like, oh, you just make the all-star team, put the best players out there. And again, in a case like the US, that is absolutely correct because JT Miller and Vincent Trocheck don't deserve to be up there over Jason Robertson and Clayton Keller. But in a case like with Switzerland, where you don't have as much of a luxury, where you have seen these players play together a lot, they do really well. And another thing, they have Timo Meyer at right wing, something that the New Jersey Devils refuse to try, despite every single time he's out there, he scores at like a 45 goal pace over 82 games. All right. Anyway, yeah, that'll be all for me. We're coming up on 3 o'clock. Again, thank you for tuning in for those who did. Again, a good Super Bowl. I mean, well, not a good Super Bowl. It was a terrible game. But again, go USA. I'm gonna have a lot of hockey to talk about next time the group stages are going to be over. We're going to be looking at the knockouts and who the United States, Canada, Switzerland, everybody in between has to play next. I mean, that's probably what the whole show is going to be. Olympic hockey. NHLers there for the first time since 2014. We're probably going to have a lot of that next week. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Woolley Mammoth Tuesdays. I am Cam Woolley saying so long and have a good one.